IT, and the reason I'm taking this class is because accessibility definitely can be improved in technology.
I'm Jessica Bartell. I'm a creative writing major, and I have some disabilities of my own, so I thought this would be an interesting class to fulfill my technical writing slot.
I'm Mason Pellegrini. I'm also a writing studies major, and outside of class, I kind of am involved in accessibility. So it's kind of a cool class for me to learn more about this in a college setting.
I'm Brett Kenny. I'm majoring in technical writing and communication, and I'm interested in the field of user experience, and I wanted to take this class to figure out how accessibility can fit into that field.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Julia Oliva. I'm majoring in business, and I just took this class to learn more about the designs of accessibility.
My name is Pearl Lee, and I'm also a creative writing major. I took this class because I was interested in how I could include accessibility as a future educator.
My name is Reed Thompson. I'm a senior studying computer science, and I'm interested in making websites more accessible through web development.
Great.
My name is Nate Beebe, and I'm a technical writing major, and my interest is user experience and trying to make devices so that the content is available for everybody.
Great. Lots of writers. That's great. Nice to meet you all. So I guess you know a little bit about me, or at least my work from Joe, so I don't want to bore you about that, but I will mention that this idea of ability-based design is something that we've been working on now for a few years, and I know you covered it, so I don't want to be too repetitive on things we've already talked about. But at the same time, I think I can maybe do a quick overview in my own words, and then we can have more of a discussion about some of your questions or thoughts or ideas.
And they do have your slides.
Okay, great. I actually was going to maybe just share my screen in any case, so that way they're looking at the same thing I am, and if they want to follow along on their own slides, they can too.
Okay.
I also have a few videos that might be fun to watch. I'm guessing you probably didn't click on any of the links in the slides last time, so if I show a few videos, those might be new to everybody.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, great. So we'll go pretty fast then over the slide part. Let me tell Skype to share my screen here. 1 second. Share screens. Okay, here we go. And then let's try that.
Looks good.
Okay, cool. Technology's amazing. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, so I'll go fast here because, like I said, I know you talked about it. I don't want to be too repetitive for you. The first thing about this approach to accessible design is to think about the fact that any interactive technology has an assumption or set of assumptions in it that are the ability assumptions that they presume the technology requires people can do. And so even if designers aren't thinking explicitly about it, as soon as a human's meant to operate something, that human is got to have some abilities to do that operation. So even like something as simple as a touchscreen, whether it's a tabletop or a handheld device, has actually a lot of abilities that are required. Sometimes I pause here for the students to try to come up with as many abilities as are needed here, and pretty quickly we see that there's 20 or 30 at least that come into play. So things like the way you have to hold your hand, the ability to suspend your hand from the elbow or from the shoulder, making a finger to touch the screen at just a single point. These are things that not everybody can do. We've spent a lot of time working with people who actually can't touch a screen with just a single point. They touch the screen with their whole hand. They slide across the screen first as a stabilizing surface before they can get to their target and then tap it and then lift. Sometimes their hand kind of bounces on the screen. Sometimes they touch with the whole back of their hand or their knuckles because of the way their hands are. So there's lots of ways in which abilities here are not always present. And a take-home point, maybe the most important take-home point of today is really this first slide, which is as you design things or work with teams that are designing things, you really want to think about what are the ability assumptions that you're requiring of your users, even if you don't think about them too explicitly, they're definitely in there. And even if you're not designing for people with disabilities explicitly, you're still putting ability demands on people when they're meant to use whatever it is you're creating or designing. So, in fact, this is actually a shot from the hub at UW here on the Seattle campus, kind of the student center. Just touch the screen for this assistant to use this guide, this interactive screen to find your way around. It's a big building, and finding what you need can be tricky. So just touch the screen, and for some people it really is just touch the screen, but for other people it may not, in fact, even be so simple. And so even here, the just touch the screen makes it clear that we think these things can be easy, but we don't want to forget that they're not easy for everybody. And then, disability really is a concept that affects everybody. It's not just about people with, different kind of physical disabilities, but there are forms of disability that affect you when you are using technology out in the world, moving through an environment with all of what that entails. So, this picture in the top right, I think is staged. I hope it is. I got it off the web. But you can see that the driver's looking at her phone, and yet there's a family in the road right in front of her. The picture with the biker in the phone, I don't think is staged. And not too far away is the sign, no texting while biking. So, people are aware that using your phones or using other devices in the world can cause you to have a sort of disabled situation, right? You don't have your full attention, you don't have your full dexterity, you may only have one hand. So the biker and the driver are both operating things one-handed. It's as if they really don't have a second hand in that case. And so we've thought about these from an accessibility point of view, even though it's not traditional accessibility for people with disabilities, under the idea that these are situational impairments. And I have a list here, you can see this bullet list. There's an awful lot of things that can come to affect people's ability to interact. And a computer user really isn't any longer someone in a room at a desk with two hands on a keyboard with ample lighting and controlled temperature. That was a computer user in 1985, maybe 1993. But today, the computer user is probably someone moving through an environment with a phone. Right? That's probably the more dominant thing. So we want to think about accessibility even in cases where someone doesn't necessarily have a physical disability. There's an awful lot of things that can impinge your ability to interact in the wild. So this happens to all of us. This in fact is a photo or a screenshot of a textbook from 1995, so it's 20 years old, from Alan F. Newell, who is a well-known accessibility researcher in Scotland. And the point he's making on the textbook here is there can be pretty serious, extreme situational impairments. If you take a kind of admittedly extreme case of a soldier, you can see the soldier here in the middle. He's in the mud. There's loud noise all around him. He's got gloves on, so his hands are kind of encumbered. He's carrying things. He's got limited eyesight. Maybe he can't hear as well, obviously with this ambient noise and also with the mask helmet over his head. He's got a backpack on. Now this person pretty much can't do all that much. And the juxtaposition of the soldier with the desk, and how we think of operating in an office is pretty different. This is obviously contrived to some extent and an extreme case to make a point, but the idea is that we don't want to think of people as either disabled or not. It's much more of a continuum about ability and situation and the context they're in and what they're trying to do and so on. So it's a more fluid idea than just someone has a disability or not. At the same time, today, our devices, whether they're input devices like mice or keyboards or phones or whatever, they have no idea what our abilities are or what situations we're using them in. So in the top photos, those are a couple photos of people who are using a mouse in studies we've done of different mouse pointing techniques that are more accessible. The middle photos from a news story about a woman with no arms who can type with her feet, among many other things with her feet. And then in the bottom photo, there's a person on a bike with a bag, so they're clearly in a kind of more situational impairment situation. and then a kind of funny photo of the guy texting while standing up on a moving motorcycle. I thought that was pretty extreme. But notice that in none of the cases does the mice, does the keyboard, or do the phones have any idea, who's using them or what abilities that person has or what situation they're using them in, right? The devices are clearly oblivious. So we don't have sensors today that really do very much to inform the device about what's going on. Phones have a lot of sensors in them, but they still don't really understand context. They just know a few things like location, maybe motion, and orientation and things like that. They don't really have any sense of the situation we're in. So there's kind of an interesting opportunity there to see if we can do better and help devices understand that. So we've done projects, for example, where the device knows which hand you're holding it in. A simple idea, but you can actually do some interesting things with that. And that's just one example. At the same time, because devices are kind of oblivious, we don't really allow them to help the user. The user has to make themselves more adaptable to or adapted to the devices. So in the top picture from another study we did, we had a gentleman who used his trackball with his chin because he didn't have the use of his arms, and yet that was the best way that he could find to point. The trackball doesn't know it's being used by someone's chin, and the trackball is assuming it's operated as the designer intended with someone's hand in a certain way, in a certain posture. And so it can't maybe do as well as it could if it knew that was the case. In the bottom picture, clearly there's a keyboard. It's, how nice for the keyboard it gets to remain exactly as it is, while the user has to put this appendage on his hand to adapt his fingers, because he can't make a clean finger press with a single point, so he has to create a point of contact with this metal add-on. Now, it's not that something like that is a bad thing. It may very well help that person operate the keyboard. But it's worth stepping back and thinking about how to make the future better and say, how much work is the user having to do here to comply with the keyboard? Can't we reverse that burden in some way and say, can't the technology comply to the user and what the user can do? Now, the keyboard's molded in plastic, as is the trackball, so there's a limit to the physical adaptability that they have. But maybe they shouldn't be physical keyboards at all. Maybe we should be thinking about touchscreens or other kinds of more malleable things, or maybe we should think about hardware that is more adaptable, can be reconfigured or moved around with various switches and knobs and things. So we want to think about who has to adapt to whom here, and can we do better. I like this picture because, so first of all, let me pause for a second. Does anyone know what sport this is? Just by looking at it?
Wheelchair rugby.
Yeah, so that was going to be the old name, like the horseless carriage version of the name, for the early days when the first cars appeared. But then it came to take on its own name, which is now I think caught on and established, but it's called murder ball, which is pretty like you got to know what you're doing. You're going to join any sport called murder ball. Right? You don't go into that casually one day and be like, I think I'll try out murder ball. Oh boy. So this is actually the U.S. national team. And I love this photo for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it's cool just because the dude's in the air and he's about to hit the ball and it just looks sweet. But what's also cool about it is think about what's been adapted to what. When they first started trying murder ball, the wheelchairs were the wheelchairs they had. Right? They were the kind of conventional wheelchairs that you sort of expect to see. But now look how different the wheelchairs have become in order to support what humans here want to do. Like the wheelchairs have been adapted to the humans, not the other way around. Right? So the wheelchairs now have the hubs are sealed, they're not full of spokes that you can see through. They're angled in an interesting way, and these guys collide at very high speeds and really hard. And they're also strapped in it, right? So you can move like this and not fall out and so on. But if you think about kind of what's being adapted to what, clearly the humans have their preference, and the chairs are something new that we haven't seen. So what's the version of the chair that's the new mouse, or the new keyboard, or the new screen, or the new device, or the new sensors, whatever? What can we do to allow, in every dimension that we work, not just in this game, the technology to take on properties that suit the human users better? And I think it's kind of an interesting question. So ability-based design tries to do that by saying there's a design approach here in which human ability is required to operate an interactive system or question. That's kind of the first step, saying stepping back and saying what are the abilities that are required here, and then can we adapt systems? And they don't have to be adapted automatically. Sometimes you might use AI to do this, but sometimes you might just have a wider range of configurability and adapt them to alternative abilities. And abilities can be motor, sensory, cognitive, even behavioral. So we're doing a project where people's ability to, students' ability to collaborate around tabletops are kind of the ability that we're helping improve upon and design for. There's a handful of principles. This is kind of a high-density slide. You can look at it on your own. But they sort of break down into stance, interface, and system, and really relate to the set of limitations we just talked about. So, for example, I'll just give an example. Performance is one in which systems are monitoring, measuring, modeling, display, predicting, or otherwise utilizing a user's performance, how they act, what they're doing, to provide the best possible match between the system and the user's abilities. So that's getting away from those oblivious devices that we talked about, just one example. Not all ability-based designs need to uphold all 7 principles. Really, the only required ones are the first 2, which is more about the approach. The others are kind of, certain projects will have some and others. Sometimes I get asked, like, well, so how is this different than assistive technology? That's a pretty broad term, a broad category. First thing to say is they're not like stark differences that are really black and white. These are kind of, think of them as fuzzy concepts with fuzzy edges that overlap, right? There's some overlap. But there is a difference in sort of approach. So assistive technology tends to use after-the-fact add-ons often to kind of assist the user in becoming adaptable to the technology. So we saw that guy with the thing on his hand with the keyboard. The other approach that assistive technology will take is to create entirely separate systems in the first place. You kind of end up with sort of separate equal concepts, which is what's illustrated here in this picture. So this is the keyset braille phone, and it's just a different kind of phone. And that's fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it does create a separate kind of concept, and then you get into, well, can you get apps with the phone, and are people able to do the same things with the phone that they can do with mainstream phones, and are you kind of creating a sort of separate ghetto, almost a technology ghetto, right, with a separate set of things for people. What's ability-based design's approach would say, let's include things in the technology in the first place to make it work with a wider range of people's abilities. So, in contrast, VoiceOver for iOS is something that if any of you have iPhones, and actually if you have Android phones, it's an equivalent thing too. You can turn this on and it'll give you the ability to read the screen with your finger and how you select targets to change things. I'm proud that we actually did some work a number of years ago, and I'll show you a video of this, that informed how VoiceOver works. Some of our work was picked up and used in VoiceOver directly, which was gratifying. The other question I get, and almost to the videos here, and then I'll stop and we can talk more interactively, but universal design is also kind of a different approach than just assistive technology. And there's I think a comparison here to be made between ability-based design and universal design. So again, they're not like dramatically opposed or anything, but there's some overlap. But there is kind of a difference in focus, traditionally at least. And I will say, I think ability-based design can be an approach to help try to realize universal design. So it might be a means by which universal design can be approached. But for example, the focus on ability-based design, as we talked about, is more on the abilities of the user, whereas in universal design, traditionally, it's more on the accessibility of the environment or the tools. And so, obviously, there's some overlap there because what makes an environment accessible in part is what the users can do. But the focus is a little more intensely on abilities versus the environment. Universal design traditionally came out of architecture, so it's evolved a lot over the years, but it does retain some of that built environment kind of flavor. And you can see the rest of the comparisons, but there is kind of a bit of a different emphasis there. So let me pause there before we dive into some videos, and then we can go through a couple of these projects that are just illustrative of the kinds of things we're working on to try to sort of embody ability-based design. Anybody have any questions or comments, or feel free to fight with me or disagree if there's something that's bothering you, but I want to give you guys a chance to weigh in here before I show some videos.
So your paper talked about, one thing that I found really interesting about your paper that I hadn't thought of was when you mentioned situatedness for ability. I think you had an example in there about maybe someone in a cold environment having just as much trouble touching a screen the way they want to as somebody with a motor impairment. For me, that was interesting because, I didn't quite have that fluid understanding of what disability could be given someone's environment, even if in a different environment they're more able. So I found that really interesting. And while I'm speaking, I had one other question to something you just mentioned, which was, you mentioned that ability-based design can be used to realize universal design. And I was wondering if you could elaborate more on that. I'm curious what you mean.
Yeah, sure. I'll come back to that second question. On the first point, thanks for that observation. I'm glad that was something that you hadn't really thought of. I will say, and I should have said, that it is important for me to say that I'm not at all saying, and I know you weren't saying that I was, but I'm not saying that situational impairments are the same as being having a physical disability, right? They're not the same. I mean, they're different. They're short-lived. Obviously they're different in a number of ways. We don't want to sort of diminish physical disabilities in any way by saying that situational impairments kind of make us all disabled in exactly the same way. The claim instead is just that situational impairments can be an accessibility approach to solving problems that relate to our ability to interact, and that broadens the appeal of accessibility, I think, to kind of everyone. So thanks for that observation, and obviously I agree with you. On the second point about universal design, so the vision of universal design, and I think you can see it in the third bullet here, but and I kind of have this little shorthand as an illustration, but in the limit, kind of in the extreme, which may never be really achievable, but is the aspirational goal. Universal design is like design for all, right? I mean, that's where the name comes from. And even though they wouldn't say, well, they wouldn't say you can achieve for everybody the same design. They would say that's still the aspirational goal. And in ability-based design, really the aspirational goal is designed for one. So in the extreme form, because the system can adapt or be adapted, everybody might end up with something that's just a little bit different, tailored to exactly their abilities. And if you actually had design for one, in a sense, you have universal design also. They kind of intersect at that point. Because by having a custom design for everybody, then you have design for all. It's just not the same exact design for all. Right? So that's what I meant by ability-based design being something that can possibly be a sort of approach to achieving a universal outcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your comments. Any other thoughts or comments? We'll obviously have more discussion as we go, but I want to make sure we don't dive into the videos if anyone else has anything they want to add. I'll go back here. Okay. Can I get a quick show of hands? How many of you have, in your own judgment, experience with disability, whether in yourself or with others? Maybe just a quick show of hands. I see a hand on the side. Okay, so actually quite a few, almost everybody. And by the end of our lives, if we're lucky people to live long, hopefully happy, healthy lives, right? We'll all have our hands up. No one won't have their hand up, obviously. If it's not already up, it'll be up eventually. So that's another way in which these topics really relate to everybody. And if we're fortunate to age into old age, we'll experience a lot of age-related disability as well. Okay, so let me just jump out and show a couple of quick videos. So I don't have videos for all these projects, and so we'll just do 3 or so, but maybe I'll play it and we can watch it all, just kind of 3 to 4 minutes, and then we can chat about what's going on. They are research projects, so look for the kind of underlying ideas. Don't get too hung up on the sort of polish of the UI or maybe the colors or kind of you see the device in this picture is kind of dated. It's what they call the Ultra Mobile PC from 2008. Those didn't really catch on. But the underlying concepts are the same. So it shouldn't affect the generality of what we're doing here. So you have the deck, so you have the link, and you can follow these on YouTube at some point if you can watch them on YouTube yourself. But let me make sure now that you get, let's see, I want to make sure you got the sound. So that's actually, is that just going to work? Is Skype like smart enough to just send you my sound? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Hit play and let's see what happens.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if it comes through. Tell me if you hear this. Okay, it's playing now. Any luck? No? I just paused it. So I'm guessing you're not hearing that, probably?
No. Hold on a second.
I wonder if I need to do anything in Skype about sharing my. There's an audio settings thing. Let me just check. I hadn't actually considered this. I'll tell you what though, because you have the link, or I can actually drop the link in Skype. Joe, maybe you can just play it.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. It should be there in a minute.
Okay.
All right. So we're at.
Do you need the link?
Are we on supple?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So if you have the slides there, you can just click the link, or I can drop it. Here we go.
Okay.
We're on.
We're on. So let's see.
Okay. I can probably hear it ambiently if you turn it up enough in the classroom, and then I'll know when it's over. Sorry guys, I hadn't anticipated the audio piece of this. I apologize. There's just a link if you need it.
What this is going to there, but it might be. Yeah, I think the audio is getting co-opted by Skype.
Oh, so because we're talking, it won't let you hear the videos.
I'm not sure. I'm just because otherwise I know that I should be hearing you because I'm just running YouTube natively on my PC from there, and it's not coming through. So I think it must be that.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's see. Darn it. So that means we can't win either direction here. Does everyone in the class have a laptop they can actually sort of look over their neighbor's shoulder and play the video directly?
Yep.
It's going to be audio.
Maybe like one person in each row, so you're not all slightly overlapped audio. Like off by a second from your neighbor. That might be annoying. I do want you to be able to see a couple of these videos so we can talk about them. People are willing to.
So let's see. Each video is approximately how long?
Yeah, so actually that's the other thing. You could just watch like 3 of them and I can tune back in here. I think the first one, the supple video is like 4 minutes or so. The angle mouse video is another about the same, maybe 3 minutes. Joe, in Skype I'm dropping the links to use. They're also on the bottom of the slide. There's no video for the walking user interface, but the third one I want you to see is the slidable one. So
supple, angle mouse, and slide rule. All right.
Should I call you back in like, let's see, that'd be
Yeah.
about, I'll call you back at 9:45.
All right. Sounds good.
15 minutes to discuss.
Or if we're done earlier, I'll call you.
You can call me. Okay,
All right.
I won't do it.
Yeah,
All right,
I'll do
thank
it
you.
that way. Okay.
All right. Have fun at movie time, guys.
All right.
I'll just share my screen here again so we can be looking at the same stuff. Are you able to see my slide there?
Yeah, we're back up. Looks good.
Great. So let's talk about supple a little bit. Maybe someone who watched the video can tell me what they understand supple to be doing here, and why. Why do what it do?
Come on, smart people. Let's go. Jump in.
I'll start talking. So I mean, you know, we studied ability-based design. It's like just like you were talking about before, with like the difference between ability-based design and universal design is that it creates one interface out of billions that's like tailored specifically to the abilities that a person has, rather than like what abilities the you know, the product assumes that a person has.
Yeah, thank you. And how does it know what abilities someone might have? Did you kind of see that in the video? What's it using to understand that?
It has a little testing period before. We read about that and it showed it in the video too.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, exactly. There's a little test battery. It'd be really cool if we could observe kind of usage in the wild and understand that well enough to drive a model like this. But for now, to get more precise measurements, we have to give a few, you know, 5 minutes or so of pointing and clicking tasks. It's one thing is it's kind of interesting to understand. The system is not given any declarative knowledge about cerebral palsy or muscular dystrophy. It's not told any kind of heuristic understanding of these things, but it's just figuring it out from the performance that it can see. And another part that is sometimes something people miss is that Supple is not just relaying out widgets like a web page would when it's moved from the desktop to mobile. It's not just a sort of free-flowing concept here, but it's actually redesigning the interface. So it's doing not just widget placement, but widget selection in the first place. And so think, for example, if you had a long list of radio buttons, the circular buttons where you can select one from many, that's a kind of one from many situation. You can also get that same data type if you have a drop-down list where you can only select one item out of many, right? And yet those are very different user interfaces. Radio buttons take up more room, you can see them all at once. A drop-down list is much smaller and more compact, you can't see them all until you click it to drop it down. That's one example of choices to be made based on the kinds of input that the system's getting from the tasks. So you see in the picture on the slide here, the default font dialog from Microsoft Word is on the left, and then in the middle, this is actually a version generated for the same data types that the font dialog embraces or embodies, but for someone with cerebral palsy. But again, the system doesn't know they have cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy typically results in someone who can move pretty quickly, but has accuracy challenges. So the widgets being bigger is helpful, but then they take up more space. So at the top here, you can see there are different tabs that are used to group different things. On the right is a muscular dystrophy interface generated for someone with muscular dystrophy, and they can generally move pretty slowly and more accurately, but moving large distances and having to move a lot is hard. And so there are no tabs, so you're not making round trips to change the tabs. All the widgets are in one place, but they're smaller. And the system's able just to kind of figure that out. So that's the kind of thing going on here. Did anyone have any questions? Say any questions or thoughts about Supple?
So I remember the research that we read, and it seemed like you guys maybe did like, you know, maybe research like 12 users or something like that. Like it wasn't a super huge sample size, but for the people who did have the same disabilities, did you see menus generated that were relatively similar to one another? Like all the people with muscular dystrophy, similar sort of, or were those even different?
Yeah, great question. You're right. This isn't like a clinical trial where we're testing 1,000 people. We have to sit with them and work with them fairly closely in a kind of user testing type setting, which I'm sure you're all aware of. So getting 12 people with disabilities is kind of what we can do. And your observation is exactly right. So there are still some differences that emerge, but you could, if you saw these user interfaces kind of splashed out on the table and grouped them by how they look, you'd also be pretty close to grouping them by the disability that people have. So there are definitely some individual differences, but also some general trends that emerge for sure. Yeah, thanks for your question. Any other questions before we move to the next one?
Yeah, I was wondering, in that grouping, would you not want to program that in, because that is kind of counterproductive in that it expects people with cerebral palsy to behave a certain way. You want it to learn from the user.
Yeah, I mean, the trade-off there is if you give it a declarative kind of piece of knowledge, like this person has cerebral palsy, the challenge there is that you still don't know enough of the interface to how the person is going to actually perform. Just knowing they have cerebral palsy doesn't get you far enough to get something really tailored very well for just them. So you kind of need to get a performance profile anyway. And so that seems like it's the way to go because you have to kind of get it anyway. It's an interesting question of if you did add the declarative piece, could you do even better? Like, could the two sources of information both be useful? That's something we haven't really looked at. All right, so let's jump to the angle mouse. So this was a mouse pointing specific thing. Someone want to give me, in their own words, kind of a summary of what they think is happening here? I'll point out in advance that the line drawings are just for illustration. Like the actual program, which you can still download and use, doesn't draw lines all over your screen at this point. Just to be clear. I always regret that we didn't say that in the video. Just in case people are like, why would I want those lines on my screen? Okay, anyway. What was this about?
Right.
Basically, it looked at where the user was trying to target, and it would slow down the mouse when they got closer to their target, so that way they could get it in less tries.
Yeah, so that's kind of half right, but half wrong, frankly. No offense. It doesn't know where any targets are. So what it's trying to do is correct what you said, but it's not because it knows you're approaching a target. And if you step back from that, maybe that's not exactly what you meant, that is what you said. And it turns out there are systems that try to do that. We call those systems target aware, because they have to know where all the targets are on the screen. Angle mouse is target agnostic. It actually it has no idea where targets are, which is a good thing because it turns out to be really hard to do that. Not just technically, but also conceptually. So if I ask you, even on the slide you're looking at in PowerPoint here, or think of a Word document, what are the targets on this slide? You know, is it every character and every word? Is it every sort of slot between each character? Because that's where the cursor would go if I was editing the text. I guess the images are probably targets. That might be more clear. Is the URL a target, or is it a bunch of little characters that are each a target? In a Word document, the margins can be clicked to open the margin dialog, so the whole margin's a target. It's not always super easy to say what a target really is. And so techniques that have to know where targets are challenged to define them in a generalizable way. The other thing is it's just technologically hard to know where all the targets are. So a way to prove this to yourself is if you go into the Windows accessibility controls and you turn on show numbers. So if you're using a PC, you can go and turn on show numbers. The Mac probably has something similar. Show numbers is a way that you can have Windows overlay a number on top of every target on the screen. And then you can just use like a numeric keypad, for example, to enter the number and no longer have to click on anything, which can be useful for certain people where pointing is difficult or impossible. The problem is that when you use show numbers, you'll see that a lot of the targets on the screen never get a number, because the accessibility API, which governs when an app is built, it's supposed to register its targets with the accessibility API. Our study shows only about 70% complete, even for Microsoft's own programs running on Microsoft Windows. So if you do show numbers in Outlook, the mail messages in the mail list, which Outlook's an email program, right? So you'd expect the mail messages to be targets, and they don't even get a number. It's not even aware that the messages themselves are there. You can't use the email program very well without the messages. So the point is target where techniques are very hard to pull off. So let me ask a question here then. So how, if it doesn't know where the targets are, how does the angle mouse do what you said correctly, which is it slows the mouse cursor down, makes the targets effectively bigger in what we call motor space. They don't visually get bigger, but they're bigger in motor space, the space you're moving in. How does it do that if it doesn't know where the targets are?
I'm bad at math, but so this is gonna be kind of funny. But I think that the angles, once they get to a point where they've overlapped enough, and it's seeing the user click on things before it knows when to slow down. So it's like it's moving with the angles of the mouse.
Yeah, so that's along the right lines. It doesn't know anything about where users have clicked before. What it's doing is, so if you look on the slide here, when you move that, make that first movement towards a target from a distance, the angles, if you sample the mouse at various quick intervals, the angles that come off the mouse, you can think of this as the spread of these angles. Like how big is this fan of angles, if you will. So a movement that's really straight will have a very narrow spread, right? You can almost think of it as like if you've ever played golf and you've hit 100 balls, what's the sort of shot cone of all the different shots you've taken? Like how dispersed are they? For a professional, they'd be like really tight together. For most of us, they'd be off to the side and so on. And so that's your angle spread. And when the angles are fairly coherent like that, then we know that the user is moving in a motion that's fairly kind of ballistic. So it's the first movement towards a target. But as soon as you approach a target, you make these little corrections where you try to get the cursor into the target. And the angles then, like in this middle picture, spread out in every which direction. So we can measure that spread. You can think of it as sort of a standard deviation, but it's not quite that because we're talking about angles, not just a series of numbers. And when we see the spread diverge like that, we drop the gain, which is the transfer function that relates how your physical mouse moves to the mouse cursor on the screen. And so the target effectively becomes bigger, even though it doesn't know that there's a target there. So if you did this in open space, the same thing would happen. It wouldn't know that there's no target there. But that's not how people behave, so it's not a problem. Does that make sense? Yeah, go ahead.
Was it tested by any chance with like a finger mouse, say on a laptop, or was it just an actual mouse or a trackball?
Yeah, this was tested with an actual mouse, and I think some used a trackball as well, but not a touchpad, and not the little like a eraser head, so to speak, the track point joystick. So the principle I think would still apply, but the behavior the constants and things might have to be tweaked a bit because I think it undoubtedly would have to behave a little differently with a touchpad. That kind of tailoring would be an important step, I think.
We've got about 5 minutes left, Jake.
Okay, let's move to the last one here. So slide rule is the thing that's probably been most real world impactful that we've done in this vein. Someone want to give me a quick 30-second summary of slide rule? So we're not talking about motor impairments now, we're talking about visual impairments. What was going on in slide rule?
They were using a finger to navigate through certain options, and then a second finger as a clickable device, and then patterns of going forward and moving back through different menus.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. So the two innovations in slide rule that are in VoiceOver and on your iPhone are the two kind of bigger ideas. Was one of reading the screen with your finger. So we did this work in 2008, 2007 really. And the thing about screen readers at the time is that they just, and even today, screen readers for the desktop are thought of as things that you sort of launch and they just read the screen. And you can control them with keys or whatever that might speed them up or back them up or send them forward, but it's kind of going from left to right, top to bottom. Perhaps you guys have talked about screen readers in your class already. With slide rule, the idea was, well, it's a touch screen. So can we do something about reading the screen where your finger is? So you have kind of a reading finger that drives the screen reader to sort of explain what's underneath your finger. The faster you go, the more it would summarize. If you slow down or stop in a spot, it would kind of elaborate on that position. So you'll notice when you move quickly over the list of names, it kind of might just say the first letter of each name. instead of trying to read them out and cutting itself off. So it's being a little bit smart about how much to divulge as it goes, based on the speed of the finger. So VoiceOver does the same thing, where you can read your iPhone screen with your finger. If you haven't tried it, you can go in and turn on VoiceOver and just give it a try. And then the second kind of main idea that caught on was the idea that if you lift your finger to tap a target in this mode, you quickly get disoriented because you lose confidence that when you come back down for that tap, you'll hit the same target you were just on. So we had the kind of aha moment of saying, well, let's just let your reading finger stay on the screen however it likes, and the second finger, whether your thumb or maybe your middle finger, could tap the screen anywhere, which is a nice big target you can't really miss. But what's triggered is what's under that first finger. And so we call this a second finger tap because we are not marketing geniuses. And Apple called it the split tap, which is a much nicer little concise term. And I actually clipped this off their website with the URL there, but just as evidence that we made it into a mainstream product. But that split tap is a kind of compelling, cool idea that makes sense with a touch and read situation like this, but had never really been done before. So we know that they picked it up from our work because some of their engineers emailed us and said they read our paper and thanked us for the good work that they built on. And so that was gratifying. Of course, we didn't patent it, we made no money, but Apple's doing well, so I guess at least maybe their devices will be slightly more accessible because of the work we did. In any case, those were kind of the two things to take from that. The swipe forward and back and stuff were maybe not so original. I mean, those are kind of obvious, but reading and split tab were I think good insights that caught on. So that's like any final comments or questions? I know we're down to kind of 1 minute, so I'll give you guys the last word here.
Last questions? All right, well, I think we were able to squeeze in quite a lot. So, yeah, I appreciate you getting with us today. That helped everybody put a face to all this interesting research. So I think we got a lot of good info out of it. And thanks for taking the time for us.
Yeah, I appreciate your guys' interest. And I know this is kind of a researchy thing, but what I want you to take from it, which is a very everyday thing, folks, is think about abilities and situations, how those two things relate, and the demands that you're designed to put on the user, and make sure that those really are the ones that you want, and find ways to lessen those demands if you can, so that people can be successful with whatever you create. And that's an issue beyond accessibility to design in general. So good luck to you all. It's nice to meet you all.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jake.